The hour had slipped beyond midnight after a restless night spent tossing and turning. I finally rose from my bed to fetch a glass of water. The living room lights remained aglow. Indeed, it was that very night my brother Richard had dispatched Nathan to reside with me for a time. Upon learning of his fate, my heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. His wife had betrayed him, leaving his world in utter disarray. Nathan, who had shared his life with the same woman for many years, found himself caught off guard in the most devastating manner. Richard's son was navigating a difficult period as well. He found himself unable to cope with it as well. "Claire, please take him in," Richard had implored me. "He seeks tranquility." Though I was not intimately acquainted with Nathan, I understood that the depths of his despair stemmed from the treachery of a woman. Our family had already endured an immense amount of loss. It has been 7 years since I lost my husband Mark. At the age of 60, I faced the sudden loss of fame due to a heart attack. In one fleeting moment, we were crafting the very essence of our dream home at Wasmond, to be completed within a year, yet the following moment everything came to a halt. The moment Mark passed away, my entire world was turned on its head. Left to my own devices, I have borne this profound emptiness within me for years. Yet recently, the solitude has been weighing more heavily. This evening in Gunfolded, like one of those nights, are you prepared? This tale transcends the realm of the ordinary. This narrative delves into the hazy boundaries, the tumultuous emotions that twist and turn into the unvoiced cries of a confession poised on the brink of revelation. Each instant of this experience has the potential to ignite something profound within you, unveiling emotions you were unaware of, challenging limits you never believed could be surpassed. If this tale resonates with your anticipation, feel free to click that subscribe button and activate notifications. Your support is invaluable to me. With deliberate steps, I approach head living room. As I ventured a few steps further, I caught sight of Nathan seated comfortably engrossed in a romantic film flickering on the screen for him. In that instant, my sole focus was ensuring that Nathan could discover a semblance of tranquility during his time here. Yet unbeknownst to me, fate had advised a different course. So many things had already begun to unravel, and it would require just a single step, merely one, to alter the course. "Oh, everything." Nathan turned to me and inquired, "Did I wake you up?" His voice carried a blend of hesitation and an urgent longing for solace there. I stood clad in my nightgown, yet the Addery felt exhaustion in that moment. A profound sense of loneliness enveloped deeper than I had ever known. "No," I replied, offering him a gentle smile. "I merely arrived to fetch some water." In thought moment, the weight of solitude oppressed heavily upon me, and I found myself wishing for time to linger a little longer. Perhaps a few moments with Nathan could fill the evening's void. Perhaps sharing a movie could evoke a sense of normalcy in my life, a reminder that peace remains within reach. "Come sit, let's watch it together," Nathan said, gesturing to the vacant space on the couch beside him. That choice was not a difficult one to alleviate. I longed to embrace the night, seeking even a whisper of warmth, a trace of significance. I took a seat beside him. Film commenced, yet my attention drifted from the unfolding scenes within him. Lay an elusive essence, a mysterious to unravel. There was something about Nathan's presence, the way this unfamiliar figure occupied the space next to me, and the subtle tremor in his voice. It all felt remarkably distinct. Tender moments unfolded on this screen. I felt a sudden urge to avert Magazi for just a heartbeat. The couple on screen inching closer together, stirred memories I believed had faded away in a moment of unintentionalment. I tilted my head just enough to graze Nathan's arm. I recoiled swiftly. Apologies escaped my lips, my gaze flitting away in a surge of anxiety. "It was never my intention." Nathan paused for a moment, then offered a slight nod and replied, "It's all right, don't concern yourself with it." Yet in that instant, distance that separated us seemed to diminish. The film continued to roll, yet an unmistakable shift lingered in the air, rendering everything different. In that moment, both Nathan and I were unable to discover any semblance of peace. Though we occupied the same space, an invisible chasm seemed to widen between us, deepening the solitude which carried within that night would linger in my memory as the beginning of an intricate journey, one far more complex than I ever envisioned. That man served as a harbinger of the impending transformation that lay ahead. The evening had veered into the realm oft peculiar. Sitting there on the couch, watching a romantic movie with Nathan, I found myself irresistibly drawn to him despite the fact that I was clad in my nightgown. The proximity to another man after a lengthy solitude ignited a palpable tension that I found impossible to overlook. Nathan's presence offered no solace, it was awakening insights within him. Perhaps it was the solitude that had enveloped me for years, but the proximity to another man in this manner awakened something deep within me. It was perplexing and strange, leaving me unable to make sense of it all. Yet there was no doubt that I was experiencing something for Nathan on that night. Everything began to crystallize. Not a moment Off relaxation graced me until the final credits rolled. Once the movie concluded, I rose, retreated to my room and settled onto my bed. Lingering in silence for a time, I found myself in need of contemplation, yet the subject eluded me. Was completely unaware. Drifting off toe slip, enveloped by a tempest of emotions, felt far from the simplicity of pressing a reset button. The night was a restless and filled with tossing and turning. The absence of restful slumber pulled Minto. The dawn. As the dawn broke, I took me place at the piano, yearning to dispel the disc that lingered within me. For an early 7 years, solitude had been my constant companion, and each dawn brought with it a yearning for a semblance of normalcy in my life. The piano resonate with the warmth of an old companion, offering a touch of solace and evoking memories of Mark as my fingers glided over the keys. I wished that this morning would offer me some solace as well. Suddenly, a noise reached my ears. From outside, a silhouette emerged before the. Initially, he slipped into my awareness unnoticed, but as the melody wafted through the atmosphere, he pushed open the front door and entered. As I continued to play, I remained oblivious to his presence until, in a moment of clarity, I glanced up and saw him silently observing me. For a fleeting moment, my fingers turned to ice in that tightness within me. Indeed, it surged forth more powerful than before. Yet Nathan merely smiled at me, as if nothing in the world was amiss that was beautiful. He said, "Thank you truly. That stands as the finest birthday present I have ever received." In that fleeting instant, a wave of exhilaration washed over me as Nathan entered. The atmosphere seemed to change, as if we had crossed into an entirely different realm. And that he spoke with a serenity that resonated deeply within me, a tone I had never encountered before. What I just expressed. Indeed, Itis, observing you for merely a few moments was the most delightful experience I've had in quite a while. Have you heard? Today marks my 40th year. It was not long before I recognized the profound effect those words had on my inner self. I turned my gaze away, attempting to reconcile the tumult of feelings within me with the warmth of his praise. At that moment, after what felt like an eternity, a flicker of connection washed over me, and he could feel the winds of change beginning to stir. Following the thrill off that morning, I began to anticipate the evening with a sense of purpose. Discovering that it was Nathan's 40th birthday ignited a desire within me to create a moment to transform the day into something both ordinary and extraordinary. A sudden inspiration struck me, and I glanced over at him. "Is today your birthday?" I inquired. "Very well. Let us raise a toast to this occasion. Shall we indulge in a glass of wine and slice into a cake this evening?" Nathan burst out upon me, a smile filled with surprise. "Well, if you're suggesting it, I suppose tonight could indeed be," he remarked, a playful glint dancing in his eyes. After a moment's hesitation, he continued with a playful smirk, "But there's a twist. Once more, I implore you to grace me with your piano playing. There's no escape from this." With a chuckle, I attempted to dispel the growing nervousness within me. "Very well," I replied, "but only on the condition that would uncork a fine bottle of wine and raise a proper toast." That seemingly trivial exchange etched a more profound mark on my consciousness than I was willing to acknowledge. Emotions surged within me, yet I stifled them, convincing myself that this was merely an effort to restore a semblance of normalcy for a single evening. It was merely a birthday, a small gathering, nothing more. Yet an moment of casual conversation. Nathan uttered something so startling that it completely caught me off guard. He regarded me with that familiar untainted expression, and inquired, "How old are you?" "Hot, 45. I stood still for a moment. I had always endeavored to embrace a sense of youthfulness, yet the sincerity of that compliment took me by surprise. A smile crept onto my face. "Oh, not quite," I replied, dismissing it lightly, yet it was difficult to conceal the flicker of excitement his words ignited within me. Within me, a tug of war ensued, caught between the comforting embrace of his affection and the tempest of feelings I struggled to contain. As evening descended, Nathan and I uncorked our wine and nestled into a cozy celebration in our conversation. A bond began to form between us. His warmth and the attentive way he engaged with me created a sense of comfort that enveloped my being. There an undeniable connection between us, a magnetic force that intensified with each fleeting second within the confines of my mind. A persistent voice urged me to embrace the evening as if it were just another mundane night. Then Nathan lifted his glass, a smile dancing in his lips, and with a playful glint in his lively eyes, he inquired, "So when will you grace me with a performance?" It's clear that escape is not an option for you. For a fleeting moment, I found myself hesitating. With a deep breath, "All right, let's do it." I positioned myself at the piano, allowing notes to cascade once more, yearning for their soothing embrace to quell the tempest within. With every note, I sensed a change, as if an invisible thread was pulling me nearer to him. Even as he became enveloped in the melody, in some inexplicable manner, I discovered solace in his attentive listening and genuine appreciation. He showed as if it were the most significant thing in existence, what I envisioned as *forward celebration. Didnt, an entirely different affair in thought instant it was as if I caught a fleeting glimpse of a sensation. I had long forgotten something profound. My vision wavered as my fingers tensed across the keys, every note awakened a feeling within me yet I struggled to discern its true natura. Nathan's voice lingered softly in me thoughts, and I sensed my heart and mind gradually separating, engulfed in the depths of it all. I found myself unaware of when to draw the line as my fingers sought out another melody. Nathan materialized beside me. Catching me off guard, he laid his hands softly atop mine. "You're an incredible woman," he murmured, his voice gentle and slightly unsteady. "Your piano playing is truly exquisite." His words reverberated in my mind, creating an unsettling void in their wake. His warm hands enveloped me, anchoring me amidst the tumult of my spiraling emotions. "Come on, he said softly, his voice imbued with a calm reassurance. "Shall we take a moment to settle onto the couch? A delightful surprise awaits you with a tender hand." Nathan led me to the couch, events unfolding before me remained elusive, slipping through my fingers like sand, yet there was an undeniable depth to the moment that resonated deeply. As I settled into my seat, my mind remained a tempest of thoughts. Nathan then made his way back to the piano. His hands glided effortlessly over the keys, a measure of skill and grace. In an instant began to play the melody that I cherished most. It was unmistakable to me. It was the melody that had captured my heart for years, the one that consistently awakened something profound within me. As he played, my heart, each note summoned memories I was unprepared to confront. I found myself seated, absorbed in the melody. Estet enveloped the space-stirring spark within me. Eventually, I found myself unable to remain still any longer. Melody he played lifted me as if it were beckoning me closer with deliberate steps. I approached him, striving to quell turmoil that surged within my heart. I approached, positioning myself directly beside him. Uncertainty washed over me, leaving me at a loss for action. "You're really good at this," I said, my voice quivering as I struggled to mask rapid thumping of my heart. "You're playing the song that I adore." The words lingered, reverberating through space, while a tempest of emotions whirled inside me. "Who is it that stands before me, Nathan?" I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "You're literally starting to affect me. Suk emotions are foreign to me." A whirlwind of emotions engulfed me, overwhelmed, confused, excited, terrified, and undeniably happy, all intertwining in a symphony. As our gazes locked, the distance between us vanished, and I could sense the warmth of his breath, gazing into his eyes. I sensed myself tumbling into an entirely different realm. In that fleeting moment, time came to Aston still. His gaze sent my heart racing and enveloped me in warmth. In that instant, it seemed as though we were the inhabitants of the universe, all things aligned in an unexpected manner. In that instant, it seemed as if the universe had contracted to encompass only the two of us, all else dissolved into the background. And in that moment, clarity emerged, revealing a new perspective. Our gazes intertwined, and in thought fleeting moment, the world around us faded away in an instant. The chaos, the trepidation, and the whirlwind of thoughts evaporated, leaving just Nathan and me in a serene stillness. His hand settled softly on my waist, strong enough to anchor me, yet tender enough to refrain from forcing. My mind was all whirlwind, and I couldn't discern whether it was the wine or the torrent of emotions surging within me without Nathan anchoring me. I questioned whether I would remain upright. The gaze he held captivated me, drawing me nearer, and in thought instant his warmth enveloped mine, stilling a profound sense of safety anchored me amid the surrounding turmoil. "You need to rest," he said softly, leading me gently toward the couch. His words wrapped around me like a soothing balm, while the sensation of his hands resting on my waist stirred a mix of comfort and unease within me. As he settled into my seat, his hands hovered for an extra heartbeat, and once more our gazes intertwined. Uncertainty enveloped, leaving me at a loss for words and emotions. The warmth of his touch rendered the night unforgettable, imbued with a power that eluded my ability to articulate. That evening, on the couch, transformed into an exhilarating gentle experience that I'll always cherish. The events unfolded with such rapidity that I scarcely had a moment to absorb it all before dawn broke. As he stirred from slumber, I arose and made my way to the living room. The aroma of coffee drifted in from the kitchen, and rousing me from my drowsy reverie. There he stood, Nathan, in the kitchen, bare-chested, crafting a cup of coffee. His body radiating warmth and strength from the previous night was laid bare for all to see. What about me, reflecting in last night, evoked an unusual feeling that coursed through my entire being. The remnants of my nightgown and underwear strewn across the floor, a cemento The night that had unfolded, the mirror of it all stirred a blend of nerves and exhilaration within me. As revisited the events of that night in me mind, a deeper sense of confusion washed over me. What was about to unfold? No, how might I even start to unravel that mystery? Yet one truth stood evident, a bond existed between us that was unlike anything I had ever experienced this evening. This instant seemed to herald the beginning of a transformation that could alter the course of my existence eternally. Nathan pivoted away from the kitchen, his gaze meeting mine eyes, gentle and smiling, biting. A silence enveloped us, heavy with the weight of unexpressed thoughts. As I stood there observing him, I endeavored to unravel the complexities of the moment, to decipher the emotions whirling within me. The chaos was overwhelming, uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for the next step, unsure of how to proceed. In that moment I felt utterly adrift, entirely enveloped by the experience, yet beneath that all I sensed a change stirring, an inevitability that I knew could not be hailed. As I stood there, as Claire, a whirlwind of excitement and confusion enveloped me. Since last night nothing had seemed to fall into place for me. Alan folded in the blink of an eye. My cloths lay strewn across the floor, and as I cast a glance their way, I shut my eyes for a brief moment, shaking my head ever so slightly. The intricacies of it all left me in a fog, unable to decipher me thoughts, much less my emotions. I sprang to my feet and made my way to the shower. Was essential, an accessory retreat to cleanse my thoughts and escape the tempest of emotions that engulfed me. My nightgown and underwear precisely in their place. That cows held no significance for me. All I desired was to immerse myself beneath cascade of warm water, to find solace from the turmoil, even if only for a fleeting moment. After a moment, I emerged from the shower, enveloping myself in a towel, when unexpectedly the door swung open. Nathan stood there, a figure caught in the stillness of the moment. I stood still, caught in a moment of sheer disbelief. In that fleeting instant where I remained utterly still, our gazes intertwined and lingered, entranced in a gaze so profound it seemed as if time itself had come to a standstill, enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for action. The turmoil and intensity reflected in my gaze were mystical, leaving me feeling utterly bare and defenseless. And yet in some inexplicable way, I found myself unable contained the words that surged forth, spilling out of me uncontrollably. I find myself utterly blue, I confessed, my voice quavering ever so slightly. What are we doing? I'm aware that it's utter limisquid, yet it seems as though I'm lost in a dream. Nathan advanced, and a step toward me. His eyes brimmed with adamant of conflicting emotions. Neither us had any inkling of what lay ahead in that fleeting moment. I yearned to express something, yet the words eluded entirely. Your coffee is ready, Nathan said, his voice trembling slightly as my gaze fell upon him. I was struck by the chaotic yet oddly captivating nature of it all. The future was not on my mind, simply existed in that moment. As he settled into my chair with a steaming cup of coffee, a tempest of confusion stirred within me. Across the table, Nathan and I exchanged glances, our eyes intertwining as memories of our shared past flooded back. Everything unfolded in a whirlwind, leaving me struggling to catch my breath. What actions had Wedekin, what emotions stirred within us? In me quest to articulate the chaos, I found myself grappling with the elusive nature of the perfect words. Claire, Nathan began, his voice taut with emotion. Our actions were undeniably misguided, and EOM fully aware of that. What led us to this to unfold? His eyes revealed a blend of guilt and a profound understanding. He understood as I did that the situation had unraveled beyond our grasp. Shouldn't we feel a sense of regret about this? It was a decision Westhold have never made. A moment absence lingered in the air. My thoughts were a labyrinth, yet at last I discovered my voice. Indeed, perhaps severe thing unfolded in a blur, yet deep doubt. It felt all wrong. We allowed complexities to weave their way into our lives, and in retrospect it all seems to lack clarity. This was a mistake for both of us, I remarked. A heaviness settled upon my chest, yet an unexpected sense of relief washed over me as I acknowledged it. We had both crossed the line. Nathan fell silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the floor before finally lifting his eyes to meet mine. Let's pretend this never happened, Claire, he said, his voice calm yet gentle. For the benefit of us, it seems necessary to move on from this. What benefit could possibly arise from prolonging this situation, particularly when everything is already in disarray? We require some one another. At that moment a deep chord within me stirred. He was indeed correct. Perpetuating this would only bring pain to us both. Indeed, I replied, inhaling deeply. Perhaps this is for the Creator good, perhaps departing as things were. This choice is likely the most beneficial for us both. Nathan nodded, his expression resolute. I must do this, I declared. It's the right course for both of us. We lingered in silence for a few moments, simply gazing at one another. In that moment, we both understood through it. of this decision, acknowledging our past actions, those shadowy instances were merely errors in judgment, confronting that reality could very well be the initial stride towards rectifying the situation rather than ensnaring on another in a web of negativity. It seemed that granting each other the unnecessary distance was the sole path to progress. I trust that my narrative resonated with you. This journey has been anything short of exhilarating, and the joy of sharing it with you has been immense. If you wish to immerse yourself in more tales such as this, be sure to subscribe and activate. You're among the first to discover when a new episode unfolds. Your likes and comments truly hold immense value for me. Your thoughts and feelings resonate deeply with me, fueling my motivation. Your support is in fueling my creative